Welcome back to the Broncast, a podcast all about the Ford Bronco. I'm your host, John Melton.
And I'm Donnie Whiteman.
We are two Bronco enthusiasts who own Broncos, work on Broncos, and love talking about Broncos from Generation 1 all the way through Generation 6. Our sponsor for this episode is Toms Offroad. Toms Offroad has every part that you need to fully restore a Ford Bronco.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about suspension options for early Broncos, also a new upgrade that you just did to your Bronco.
Hey-o. That's right.
A small upgrade that turned out to be huge.
It turned out to be magnificent. What have you been working on?
Oh man, I have been just covered up. We rebuilt those axles, so we're installing the axles on the chassis that we repaired and had powder coated, and brake lines, fuel lines, EFI, high pressure fuel pumps, and just everything, putting all the chassis together, getting them ready to put the bodies on. We actually just put one of the bodies on today.
Nice.
And it's a all Wimbledon white body with the bottom of it's oxide red, which I thought was a lot of fun to do. So the frame will really pop when you look underneath the truck. And then the other one's boxwood green. So
oh, nice. Yeah. That's such a popular color.
I think 8 of the first trucks we built were all some shade of green. So it's like 1973 all over again.
That is the color that I'm hopefully painting mine as well.
Oh, yeah.
Boxwood green.
Well, we already painted the bottom.
Yeah, that's true. It's going to be. What's funny is I was working over in the other shop last week, and I was shooting a couple videos, and I would point to my restoration project that I'm working on. But right next to it, you parked your boxwood green, beautiful body, right there. So I'm sure people are like, wait, did he already paint his body? Like, is he not telling us something? No, I'm not. I haven't painted my body yet. That's Donnie's boxwood green body because it looks great.
I say we painted the bottom of your truck.
Yeah.
I say that loosely.
Well, you did.
I got overspray on me, but you actually painted it.
I think I still am supposed to clean the floor. You have a video on that,
don't you?
I do, yeah. I have a video on that whole restoration process of where I'm at.
It,
yeah,
right?
and then we dropped the body on there, and so that's all in that video. Interesting thing happened to me this week. I think it was like a year ago. This guy reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm in the Army or I'm based in Germany and I have a Bronco and I'm working on it. And would you just send me some stickers?" And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. And I think I forgot about it for a couple of months and then sent it to him. But never really thought I would hear from this guy again, hey, here's some stickers. Cool. Well, then I get this package, and inside of it is this cardboard box with
it's got a drawing of a Bronco
written on it. And he said, "John, a few months ago, I sent an email asking for swag. Just as I began to curse your name for no response, I received several stickers and a handwritten note scribed on cardboard from a Bronco parts box. Talk about romantic. Albeit a little late on my reply, I'm returning the gesture with a token of my appreciation, a Bronco t-shirt." Pretty sweet.
Oh, look at that. That is cool.
Pretty cool. And a letter written in the same language of love, handwritten on your favorite stationery, Toms Offroad box. He said, "I was stationed in Stuttgart, Germany while active duty, and although I retired in 2021, I still live over here while working as a government contractor. It's been extremely challenging to work on my Bronco here in Germany and to find access to affordable parts, but it's been a pleasure listening to you and Donnie on the Broncast and hearing what the Bronco community has been doing back in the States. Now that I think about it, I feel a little guilty sending you only one shirt, but there's good news for Donnie. Please tell him if he subscribes to the Bronco sweepstakes, a letter to Dale on a Bronco parts box, he also will win the coolest Bronco shirt ever. Take care, Dale." And I just thought that was so cool.
He drew a picture of his Bronco.
And he drew a picture of a little Bronco. So I thought that we would send him some more swag up to Germany. We'd throw in a Tennessee Bronco, Nashville Bronco shirt.
Oh, nice.
And then the infamous Broncast shirt.
I love that shirt.
And with our logo on it. So Dale, this is coming to you, but I also reached out to our buddies over at Toms, and I was just like, hey, what could we do? Like, could we hook this guy up at all, with something, he was in the service, like Germany. And so they said, yes, when he calls, we will give him a discount on whatever his next part order is. So I just thought that was pretty cool of Tom's, and cool. Like, we love, like hearing from people, and especially in Germany, Dale doing some Bronco work.
He was just entering your personal coordinates into like some missile thing when your sticker showed up. So just like, in time.
Oh, all right. I won't blast
hit
him.
launch.
Yeah. So there you go, Dale. Some swag for you and a Tom's discount.
Oh, I have some news.
Oh.
Product news, actually.
Nice.
So, I'm all about that. I've talked about this before, but the Roadster Shop has a Bronco chassis. Actually, it's a whole series of chassis called the RS4 for full-wheel drives. They make chassis for everything, but they start at $39,995. But you get a chassis, you get Curry axles, you get full suspension, you get great disc brakes. I mean, it's all set up, sway bars.
Yeah.
But theirs are like torsion bars, and they're worked into the chassis. They run through the rear cross rail.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really awesome. But the news is not just that they make these RS4 chassis for not just Broncos, but they make them for Land Cruisers, Range Rovers, Chevys, Fords, F100s, anything, F-150s.
As you're talking, I'm just perusing their website.
Did I send you the link? The new chassis they just came out with, this is the big news, is called the RS4R, and it's full coilover, and it's got some crazy suspension and upper and lower control arms, and it looks like a full pre-runner or Baja, race truck. Like,
yeah.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah. Full IFS, four-wheel drive chassis, triangulated trailing arm rear. Man, that thing is beefy.
Yeah, it's cool. So if you like the one with the 4-link that's $39,995, you'll love this one for $74,000.
Oh.
You'll need an engine and a transmission and a body, but other than that,
wow.
It's pretty awesome though. It's spectacular the way they designed it.
That is pretty amazing. RS4R. IFS. Interesting. I wonder, I know the Bronco community won't love to hear that someone's making IFS, but they have the non-IFS version as well.
Well, just having, full coilovers. I mean, you know how nice they ride.
Yeah.
So why not, if you're doing your Bronco, just got an extra $75,000 laying around.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we all do. Yeah. That's chump change.
There's probably a waiting list.
Probably.
Yeah. Did you say you had a story for me?
Oh, yes, I do. A couple of weeks ago, a student from Lipscomb University reached out to me and was like, hey, we're working on an animated short film for when you're in school, you have to do like projects, and they're in the animation part of the school. And they were like, we are doing an animated film about a Bronco and like kind of racing a F-150 Raptor. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And they were like, we just need audio from your Bronco. Would you be interested in us like hooking up mics and going out and just like capturing audio of your Bronco? And I was like, absolutely. So I show up there and bring my Bronco, and they're like, man, thank you. And I'm like, I do automotive TV as well. So I get it. Like, I understand the need that you have. Like, I'll do whatever you need.
And your truck sounds good.
It sounds great.
Especially when you rev it up.
Yeah. So they, hook up all these mics, and we actually went to the Dirt Devil Trail out in Leaper's Fork, and like found this stretch of gravel road where like I was just ripping back and forth, and like, they're like, okay, do it this way, but a little bit more of this or a little bit less of this. And so we're doing all this, back and forth. And there were a couple of times where I was like, whew, like I kind of got myself a little scared. So we are getting towards the end of the day, and we've gotten most of the sounds. And they were like, hey, we have this part where the Bronco stops, and just comes to a stop. And so we kind of need tires in the gravel, like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I've been ripping back and forth, and my brakes are hot. Like they don't feel really strong. I tried it a couple times, and I just couldn't get my brakes to lock up. Like, I would slam on them and they would just come to a stop. And I had this thought, and it was definitely a hold my beer and watch this thought. And it was, wait, what if Oh, wait, hold on. Before I go any further, I want you to watch. If you're listening to this, you got to check out the YouTube video because we'll actually play this on the YouTube channel so you could kind of get an idea for it here.
Oh, yeah, getting it. Holy crap.
So, yeah, like I was
running from the law.
Yeah, like I was getting it pretty good. So, they're recording the audio. They're really happy with it. And so we start doing the brakes, and it's like, all right, try to get your brakes to stop. And I'm going, and it's like, I couldn't get it to really make that good noise. So I said, hey, give me one more shot at this. And they were like, okay, we'll give you one more shot. And I drive forward a little bit, throw it in reverse, and step on it. And here's the video.
Oh. You went backwards into a tree. I can't believe that.
It's so dumb. Like, such a stupid thing to do.
It looked like you were doing that rockfish move.
Right.
But you didn't plan on that?
I didn't move the steering wheel.
Oh.
Like, one of my wheels locked up and the other one kind of did. And it just spun me. I mean, it happened so fast. And I kind of got after it, like to make a nice skid sound.
And it turned on you.
It turned on me and went straight into a tree. I was holding the steering wheel, like you can see me holding onto the steering wheel, and I hit and I go backwards. I pulled the steering wheel like a 3/4 of an inch out. Like, you have the telescoping steering arm.
Now it telescopes more.
Now it's like separated, like, it like pulled it out. I broke my steering wheel, my wood steering wheel. Yeah, I mean, I just smashed.
Those are some pretty awesome sound effects they got, though.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I destroyed my bumper. I destroyed my frame and my tailgate.
Oh, wow.
And it was...
Looks like you backed into a tree.
Yeah, I did. At like 30. So we're going to drive my Bronco today.
All right.
But it has some damage. But yeah, that was my my weekend. That was how I wrecked my Bronco. But I already
have it on video though. That's awesome.
Yeah. I already have my parts order in at Toms for my new tailgate, a new fuel tank. The bumper bashed in the fuel tank.
Yeah.
But it's not leaking. It's just got a huge dent in it now. And my frame horns are pretty messed up. But my buddy Kevin Tates, I sent him that picture of it all bashed up. And he was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to order more parts from Tom's. And he was like, I'll help you paint the tailgate. And I was like, thanks,
Nice.
buddy. Yeah, that's the story.
Well, we'll check it on the frame rack. We got the chief frame rack in the other building. We'll throw it up there and pull the frame if we need to.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It made a really interesting noise.
I mean,
I'm assuming, was that the bumper or?
Well, so it hit the bumper and just broke the bumper, hit my tailgate. It didn't hit my hard top at all because of the Rhino rack. Like the Rhino rack, I think it stopped it. Like the dent on the tree from the Rhino rack was like the most indented and there's not a scratch on the Rhino rack. Like that thing is stout. I was like,
you're putting that rack through its paces, John.
Like I have definitely put it through its paces.
That's incredible. Saved by the Rhino rack.
Well, cool. Well, let's head over and take my Bronco for a spin.
Forward,
yes.
Yeah.
And I put the new sway bar on, and so I want you to feel the difference.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
All right. So here we are in my Bronco after my accident. But even with after the accident, like what's great about it is the sway bar. and you drove it before sway bar, and now I want you to drive it post.
Well,
sway
you
bar
said
install.
you were making what you thought was going to be a small change, and now you feel like, oh, it's actually a pretty big change.
It was huge. Like the difference, like my Bronco was just so tippy before, where you just around every corner, it just wanted to go to the outside of the corner, and you felt that. And so now there's just such a big difference when you can take a corner really fast, and it sucks to the road, and so yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So we're gonna drive, but I noticed like the steering wheel is just like it's broken, and then we just fixed that, and you broke it. All right, well, let's drive.
I've ordered my new parts from Tom. So.
All right. Like an oval track car.
Yeah. So speed bump, you still get the soft.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's loud, I mean, it's a metal box, but it's still soft. But now you have the soft suspension, plus you get the sway bar that holds the tires down.
I never slow down for those speed bumps.
Yeah.
It's really bad when I drive someone's car because I forget. It's like bang.
Now it's cold today, so my transmission will not want to shift.
Not too bad. Oh, wow. Big
Totally
difference
different.
going around that corner.
Totally different. When it's real cold, I have to shift it into second and then go back to drive.
Till it warms up.
Yeah. So last time when we were driving on this road coming back to your shop, it was like you felt it kind of darting, in and out of the lane. And that was just that like tippiness. And I feel like even in a straight line, it has less tippiness.
We'll do a bunch of circles at downtown Franklin.
Perfect. That's a good idea.
Get it on two wheels.
Yeah. I know before, like,
yeah, there's a big difference here.
When I would turn, left from a stoplight, like if I punched it hard enough, it felt like my back end would squat down enough and I could almost lift a wheel. And now I don't feel that at all.
So you only did the front one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And they make a rear.
Yep.
I assume. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Like, now the truck points like this instead of,
yes.
floating around the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nice. I wonder if a rear sway bar would make it even corner flatter.
I know, like, the difference from, like, adding the front sway bar made, like, would it be the same amount of difference adding a rear sway bar, or would it just be a little bit better? Like, I don't know. I don't know how much of a difference. But for me, driving this thing every day and then putting that sway bar on, I mean, I immediately felt the difference and was just blown away by how different it made it feel. And a lot of people said, oh, you can't put a sway bar on when you have shock hoops. And I guess somewhere that has been a thing. Mine fits between the shock hoops. It hasn't had the self-clearance yet. But I was kind of like, well, if it doesn't, or if it, has some issues, I don't really mind, like, it rubbing on the shock hoop a little bit. But as far as I can tell, it hasn't been a problem at all.
Yeah, it has really good manners around the corner now, and I don't notice the weight of the. Felt like when you went with the roof rack and the tire and the narrower offset on the wheels, it really kind of amplified that, and now it's like gone.
Yeah.
Like literally just canceled all that out, and it probably even corners better than when it had the wider wheels on.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So I have a 2.5-inch lift with a 1-inch body lift. And I recently put on the 5165 Bilstein dual reservoir shocks. And before, when I first got this Bronco, I don't even know what lift was on it. It had, some just stiff springs and blocks in the back. And it was probably about 2.5 inches. But, when you'd go over a speed bump, it would knock your teeth out kind of thing. And now, when you go over a speed bump, it would knock your teeth out. But it didn't sway at all, it didn't move, like the body didn't roll. And now adding the soft shocks and the tire on top, like it added to that body roll. So even that, like just going around the corner, that sway bar really helps balance you out so much.
So you got the blocks are out now. You've got a 2.5-inch lift, and you have a pretty small body lift.
Yeah,
right?
1-inch body lift.
Okay.
And the reason for that is really at 2.5 inches is the kind of what they say the maximum that you can lift your Bronco without having to change like your brake lines, your drive shaft length. Some of that stuff, like, now it's not across the board, like, with Broncos, everything is different. Like, you can't say a blanket statement for a Bronco and have it apply to every Bronco. But for the most part, when you add a 3.5-inch lift and above, then you're going to have to get a longer drive shaft. You're going to have to get longer brake lines. You'll have to get longer axle tubes and
parking brake cables.
So a 2.5-inch lift kind of keeps you under having to do those additional things. But if you're restoring a truck, then who cares?
Well, a lot of people are restoring trucks that were, used for rock crawling or out in the woods, and they had big lift kits and stuff, and none of them ever have the parking brake cables connected.
Oh, yeah.
They're just hanging there because they're too short.
Yeah.
So, but I did just buy a set for a customer, and through Toms Offroad, they were like $27 a side.
Oh yeah.
So they're not expensive,
right?
And it's not a really super hard thing to replace, but they're either disconnected because the truck was lifted, and or they just quit working.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to replace their suspension or put a new lift that's going to ride nicer, what 2 options would you recommend?
Well, there's 2 different things really that you look at when you're talking about lifting your Bronco. First, the appearance. Like, obviously, a lift is going to change the appearance of the Bronco. It's going to change the stance. It's going to allow you to fit bigger tires under there. So there's a lot of things that a lift will visually change, but it doesn't have to change, the driving manners that much. And so that's kind of the second thing. So first thing, appearance. Second thing is the off-road capability. So, you can add a 2.5-inch lift that's super off-road capable. You don't have to add a 5.5-inch lift that's super off-road capable. But if you wanted to have, I have 35-inch tires. If you wanted 37-inch tires, then you'll need a bigger lift than a 2.5-inch lift. So, like, really, lift options start with appearance. And that's where you have no lift, which is stock height. You have 2.5-inch, 3.5-inch, 4.5-inch, and 5.5-inch. And in that, in each of those lift inch options, then you have the different stages. And Toms Offroad calls it their stage 2 lift, stage 3 lift, and stage 4 lift. And then even within those, like, there's a bunch of different options, like different shocks, like getting the, Bilstein shocks, or getting the, I forget what the other brand is called that Toms has on their site, but basically their stage 2 lift is kind of just a normal lift that, the springs are pretty much the same. It's just a bigger spring. The shocks are going to feel the same kind of as a stock Bronco. Their stage 3 lift, you get everything with the stage 2 lift, but you get different springs, you get shock hoops, so you can add 4 shocks on each corner, or 2 shocks on each corner.
Dual shocks, yeah.
Dual shocks on each corner, and so you could get a softer shock, which then makes it a squishier ride, but you have twice as many. So kind of, it's kind of like what I have with the dual reservoir, where it dissipates the heat. But so you got the shock hoop with the stage 3, and then with stage 4, it actually adds. I think it's like everything with the stage 3, and then it adds in the inboard shock mount, inboard shock hoop, I guess, in the rear.
Yeah,
which
so
lets
there's
you
2 more.
Bring your shocks into the inside. Yeah,
that's an old Baja thing. All the guys used to do that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different options, and really, I think everyone kind of looks at suspension more as how's it going to make my truck look, and that's just the lift number. That's not really you don't really need shock hoops if you're just going to make your truck look higher up.
But now there, and you can go with bigger tires and things like that as you do lift kits. But if you've got an uncut Bronco, that kind of limits some of your options.
It really, well, not as much on the suspension side. Like our buddy Jay Patterson, he has a Luber, we call it, the lifted uncut Bronco. And I think he's got like a 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch lift on his. But man, he wheels the heck out of that thing, and like has great articulation and has done a lot to really maximize all of that. But what is affected with a Luber is your tire size and the wheel offset. So you really want a skinnier tire, or to have your wheel offset to tuck up
to the inside
under that fender. So that's the main difference there. But yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna need to loan you a steering wheel. I got a splinter. What did you like? Did you go backwards?
Yeah, I jerked it so hard that
it telescopes now.
It's separated. That's like 3/4 of an inch separated, and I broke the steering wheel. Yeah, it was a hard hit for sure. But well, there you go. The final thoughts on the sway bar. Would you recommend a sway bar?
I would love to drive it again with another one in the back where we go drive it really hard. But the one, it's like a whole different truck.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what retail was on that?
I want to say $700 like
worth every penny.
Worth it, especially for the soft shock ride quality, but having the stability around the corners. Like,
I'm gonna add it to every truck I build.
Absolutely,
it just like
it has changed me that much. I agree. It really has.
It hasn't improved your driving.
No.